there were a few things in my life that I probably couldn't have gotten through without the people that I befriended on Neighbours during that time. So I'm just really grateful to have that support. I'm Majella Davis, and Midnight with Tack and Matty is a lovely little conversation that we have this week that you get to listen into.
G'day,
Welcome.
g'day.
Oh yeah, g'day. I forgot that bit. Welcome to Midnight with Tack and Matty. I'm Matty.
He's so used to me doing it, you forgot that you had to introduce yourself. And I'm Takaya.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's a fun way to go into this.
I'm just showing you my range. Or anyone who's listening. Here's a bit of range for you. Yeah. I can do other accents, but maybe we'll save that for another time.
Maybe we'll make you do a different accent every time now.
Yeah.
There's hundreds, I guess. So there's like 27 in England already. Anyway, before we get in today's episode, and this seems weird coming out of the joyous nature of our intro, but obviously the world is in even more turmoil at the moment, with another war breaking out between the US, Israel, and Iran. And we're not a show that's political. Where Matt and I might be in certain ways political, but we're trying not to let the show be. But when things like this happen, it's a little bit remiss of us to not say something. And for me, and I think Matt agrees, that war is just dumb. And I believe that in today's age, with it being so globalized, that anything worth accomplishing should be possibly accomplished through diplomacy, and war is really just a reason to kill and be killed, or to commit genocide or to wipe somebody out. For any valid concern or desire that a country might have towards another country, or many countries towards many other countries, because of the globalized nature of the world, diplomacy should be able to work. With the world as it is, and these things happening, if you missed when the terrorist attack happened in Bondi and what we said at the time, ultimately this podcast is meant to do the same thing that Neighbours did, which is to provide light in moments of darkness, or moments of lightness, but especially during moments of darkness. Now, whether that be a global darkness, like something like this, or a personal darkness that is something specific to you sitting there at home, we hope this podcast can provide a little bit of light in those times. And so we promise that we, as best we can, as long as we still can physically do it, and mentally, as long as both physically and mentally we're capable of doing this thing, that we will, to give that little bit of light. And we should acknowledge, Matty, that for this interview, I did this interview while you were sorting out things with your granddad's funeral, which I think everyone can understand. So you weren't there for this special chat I have with Majella Davis.
A huntsman spider, like the size of my hand, literally ran just down there and over there. I'll see if I can go get it afterwards to show you. But no, thanks for doing that, Tack. And yes, thanks for the little intro. It's I don't want anyone to think that we're being insensitive by releasing this kind of stuff, but we think that it's going to help someone out there somehow. Tack, I got a message, right? I have a friend of mine from Rye. Her name's Jenny. Jenny was my neighbor. We moved, and she has been stalking you. I know you're going to listen to this, Jenny, but she's been stalking you. She went down to see Soapboxed, and she sent me a nice little message saying, "You better get ready for this. This could be character building stuff."
All right, I'm strapping in.
You ready? Yeah. Okay. It was much better than I expected. I don't know what you're expecting.
She had really high expectations too. So that's good.
So it was funny and a lovely tribute to soaps. Underlying was the frustration of being undervalued in Australia but loved overseas, and the real concern of AI. I can see it being a successful stage show, especially in England, maybe Australia. She's going to hate me for reading this out. My friend that I went with hasn't seen Neighbours all that much, and she really enjoyed it too.
Proof that the show, Soapboxed, isn't just for Neighbours fans. It's not this isolated thing that only a Neighbours person would enjoy. It's one of the things Ryan said in the Q&A at the end of it was that this show is sort of built as a format that it can go to any country and be repurposed to represent kind of any show in a lot of ways. It can soaps most easily, but it can be kind of any show in certain genres. You can kind of place that into it. But it is key. Like, and I think it's genuinely true that the show stands alone in being accessible to anyone for just a good time. And us, the cast, I mean, we'd only had 2 rehearsals. I'd only had 1. But we were kind of taken aback a little bit. We thought it was great, but the amount of laughter that we had for a rehearsed reading when we're, not absolutely rehearsed our brains out to hit marks perfectly, have the punchlines land perfectly. The amount of laughs just consistently throughout it was really, really, really nice to have, and it made it a really enjoying experience. It was technically sold out. I don't know if every single ticket was sold, because you only have to reach a certain threshold for that sold out sort of thing to trigger. But I couldn't see many seats free.
Yep.
So that
Congratulations.
was really good. It was a good audience.
Megan Herbert and Lucinda Cowden wrote this. If you miss it, they wrote this stage play where they did it like a set table reading. That's what it was, wasn't it? Like a table.
It wasn't table reading. It was rehearsed reading, which happens a lot more in the UK.
Reading,
so UK listeners would probably understand it a little bit more. It doesn't really happen in Australia a lot, but I think it should happen more because it worked really well. But it's basically we have scripts in our hands, so we're reading, but we have some basic blocking that we've rehearsed and movements. So it's not just us sitting at a table.
So you're on your feet. You're not sort of sitting down like a table read. You're on your feet on
like
stage.
When we're in the scene, we're on our feet or doing whatever the scene requires. And then when we're not, we're still on stage. We're just sort of sitting behind the action, and then certain bits of the big print, so to speak, the action that you'd normally see in the play that we can't translate very well without having costumes and props and all that kind of stuff. Someone would stand up and read that bit, which usually happened just when we were transitioning from one part of the play to the next part, and you might have new actors coming in or whatever. So there'd be something read over the top of it explaining the new set that we're in or something like that. But yeah, it's I really liked it as a format. I'd prefer to watch that than just people sitting at a table reading it. This is really just to test the writing, and just get a real response from an audience to see whether people would enjoy it. And I don't think anyone there would say that the mass of the audience really, really loved it. So that was really cool. Even in our episode last week with Lucinda, she talked about the origin of her laugh, but people reducing her to just being that laugh, and meeting her and then she in a different context, perhaps when she's trying to be an actor in a different context, and then going, "Oh, I know where you're from. Can you do the laugh?" And that kind of stuff coming through.
Yeah.
And some real life stuff for her that came to the forefront, which she so generously allowed to be in the script to be shared with the audience as well. And there's a couple of really nice monologues from her, and one from one of the male characters was played by John. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Voce. It's Voce. Who's an English actor, actually. Moved to Australia a while ago, I think. But he delivers a beautiful speech about his wife being in a car accident and them losing their baby, and the marriage falling apart from that. But the soap opera at the heart of the show being something that when he was waiting for his wife to recover and that kind of thing, that he and other people in the hospital who were going through hard times were able to turn to the show and get some light in the darkness, so to speak, which is coincidentally I spoke about at the start of the episode. But just how, because he was like quite a good writer, was on this major Netflix show kind of thing, but chose to come to this soap opera to write because of what the soap had given him in such a hard time, and he wanted to give that to other people in the same way. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like really poignant, really beautifully written, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughter through it. So it's sort of like the comedy of it really does make the medicine of it, which isn't stark medicine in any way. It really does go down very easily. They've done a really good job putting it together.
Well done, man.
So yeah,
That's
it's done
unreal.
well. Thank you.
Good on them. Good on you guys for getting involved.
Good on them.
That's what the world needs, I think.
I've got one thing to say, Matty, before we get into our amazing guest for today. People might have seen that we posted on social media. If you haven't, go and check it out. We did a new thing this week where we said, guess who's next? Is that what it said? Something like that. Guess who's this week? Something like that. I made the thing and I've forgotten what it says. Guess who's next? I think it is. Anyway, Tom, you can maybe superimpose the actual image and make me look like even more of an idiot, because then everyone's seeing what it really is. And but you may have noticed.
Put something else up there, Tom. Put something else up there.
Put that picture of Matty in his sparkly tight Aaron's tight
now
shorts.
We're talking.
People would tune in just for that. They would have like in YouTube, it shows you where people watch the most. There'll be a little spike where that image goes up. People just replaying it over and over and over again. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So we did that post, and in it, you saw a bin tipped over, and then the clues for our guest today had spilled out onto the street, so to speak. You may have noticed there was a sticker that was our logo on the side of the bin. And I wanted to know, because when I was making the thing, I was like, I wonder if people would want a bin night sticker to put on their bin. And then I thought, well, no one wants to just put our logo on their bin. That's just a bit weird, but it could be a useful sticker. Like I've seen before, people have like slow down, kids about type stickers. So like a little PSA, and we could have don't forget bin night. So it's helpful for people walking their dog. Like, oh yeah, I've got to remember my bin night. Even though they see the bins.
The bin's not enough.
The bin's not enough.
I'm sure this is a thing in the UK as well, but we have like the cricket big sticker of the cricket wickets, the stumps, and that's on the bins for playing backyard cricket. But
maybe we get a sticker of you in the tight glittery shorts, and you can be standing like this, and
like
you become the stumps. They're Matty stumps, Wilson branded stumps.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
my three legs.
You can be holding up. You can be holding up. Oh, I could do it in the frame. You can be holding up little bin night with Tack and Matty sign.
I got it.
Or maybe that you're holding that over. You don't have the glittery shorts. You're holding that over your groin. That's perfect. And the Matty bin night stumps. So if you want
this
stickers, guys, we'll figure out how to make them. Especially if you want a sticker that makes Matty look naked. I mean, he's got Aussie bum on the side of a bus, so why can't he be half naked on the side of a bin?
You could have that, like the shot of you and I, right? You know how we had our asses out on Neighbours, and right, our two center legs together. That can be the middle stump.
No. We have peeping Tom poking through.
You get extra points for hitting his face.
Coming through the bushes, so to speak. It'd be great at Ash's time over Christmas. They'd be trying to get their cousin out by hitting the Australians in the face.
No surprise, Tack, on who our guest is today.
The gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful Majella Davis, who is one of my closest friends. We became really close when she came into the show, and we talk about that in this episode too, which you'll find out now, Matty. We were able to be good supports for each other through times in our lives where we both had some difficult things going on, and yeah, this chat's great, and she's awesome, and I hope you enjoy it.
I'm going to try to find this spider.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, my
The
friend.
beautiful Majella Davis, one of the most beautiful people to ever set foot on the Neighbours set, is joining Just Tack, Bin Night with Tack. Because
Tack and
as a-
Madge.
Tack
He's been
and
replaced.
Madge, Tack and Maggie.
Tack and Maggie.
Tack
Sorry,
and
babe.
Maggie Noodles, as I sometimes call you.
Yeah, some people do.
Do other people call you Maggie Noodles?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the other thing? I call you Margarine sometimes, but that's a rare one. Margarine.
Never heard you say that. I'm devastated that Matt's not here, but I'm very excited to be interviewing with you.
Yes, sadly, he is at and you will know, the audience will know this, at a funeral for
Yes.
his grandfather, sadly.
Yeah,
But he
thinking
sends
of you,
his
Matt.
love. He sends
Lovely.
his love.
That's very nice.
Have you been working today?
No, I haven't, thank goodness.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, for the listeners, I'm a personal trainer by day, and I've been doing early morning shifts, so it was a little tricky for us to navigate this time,
Yes,
wasn't it? Yes. I was like,
it
sorry, no,
was.
I'm working. Sorry, no, I have to go to bed at like 8 p.m. to get 8 hours of sleep.
Well, you're looking very healthy. Probably
That's because
of
I
all this
didn't work this
PT.
morning, so
All right. Well, it's a combination, right? You've been doing so much
Yeah.
working out and you're well rested.
indeed.
The hair, look at the hair, looking
The
good.
hair. Well, okay, so I knew you were going to comment on it, and I have some information
That's
for
not
you.
because I'm completely superficial whenever I talk to Madge.
No, I just know you very well. So we're recording this the day after Chinese New Year. So Chinese New Year was yesterday, and I didn't know all this, but I woke up and my hair was in dire need of being washing. And I woke up and I saw this thing on my Instagram. You're not supposed to wash your hair on Chinese New Year. You can wash away good fortune. And so I was like, oh no, like now I have to wait a whole nother day. So I desperately had to wash my hair this morning, and then I dried it out, and well, now you get this. So
Oh. and
Yeah.
well, and you've grown it out a little bit since, because you did a
I
big
have,
cut,
but I
and it
did-
is a bit longer.
I did do a massive chop literally the day after we finished shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's growing back out, and I'm feeling a little bit more Krista now.
So are you keeping the longer hair? You feeling
I
Krista
think
can come
I
back
think
a bit?
so. Maybe, yeah. I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I need to decide if I'm going to keep growing it out or if I'm going to chop it again. I like it short too, but I'll go long for a bit, maybe.
Everyone's going to
Alright.
be like, wow, Matt's not there and Takaya's just talking about her hair.
We're just talking shop.
Now, for everyone out there, Madge and I are very good friends as well. So this is a really interesting thing. You would think that would make this like a really easy one to do. But it actually makes it really hard because I know so much that I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm asking you a question I already know the answer to, but I kind of have to do that in a way. Now, let's start at the beginning. Madge is actually from would you say very small town or just small town?
I would say small town. If you're someone who lives in the city, you would think it was a very small town.
How many people roughly is a population?
When I was growing up, the population was 4,000, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not.
When you split it up across generations and genders. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I grew up in a little town in country New South Wales on the border, just very inland, very rural.
You're a country gal.
I'm a country gal. Yeah, that's my
Were you running around in overalls with hay in your mouth?
singing
That's
Howdy Doody, Old MacDonald had a farm. Is that
No,
your
because
image of me?
No, but this is something I've said to you before, like that. There's that country image of the country girl who's for some reason always blonde, in a ponytail, in overalls, like a denim overalls, some sort of checkered shirt. She rides a horse, maybe wears a cowboy hat or a cougar.
I think
in
maybe you're describing the Hannah Montana movie.
I've never seen that, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, Kaya, come on.
What do you mean, come on? No,
Come
but there's that popular representation in the media of
Yes.
that. But every time that I've driven through a country town in Australia, which is relatively frequent and probably more frequent than a lot of people in Australia, a lot of the teenagers are like goths. They've dyed their hair black. They've got thick eyeliner on,
Totally.
heavy boots. So which were you? Were you did you have the thick eyeliner or were you
I had thick
the
eyeliner and a cowboy hat. So I was like the no. I think I was the trapped city girl in the country. Like I wanted to like dress up to go to, the barbecue down the street and stuff like that. So I think I was kind of a fish out of water maybe. And where I grew up, like sport was the main thing. Everybody played sport. I went to a primary school with like 9 girls in my grade. So I did all of the sports when I was growing up and I was god awful. Like,
Did you have a favorite though?
no, I wanted to be good so badly at any of them, one of them, all of them. And I just wasn't. I was terrible. Like the
Did
team
that
would have
hurt
been
you
better.
socially as well?
No, I think my drama nerd singing constantly being annoying hurt my social status more than anything.
So you were then what, you're a bit of an outcast, outsider then, do you think?
I think so. I probably like romanticized myself that way too. I was like, I'm so misunderstood. Like, I want to be an actress in this small town and I have to get out, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
And where did that come from? Where did the idea of even being an actor, the reality of it? I mean, was it purely just this, I've watched movies and stuff and I just want to do that? Or had someone actually explained the reality of it? Like, how did you even know the next step?
Yeah. Well, my mum tells me the story of how when I was, I don't know, 4 or something, my sister and I were watching Bananas in Pajamas. And I don't know, is it popular in the UK? No, it's Australian.
No, I think it's an Australian thing. But they
Yeah,
might
well,
know what Bananas in Pajamas is. I don't know.
it's a cartoon with 2 bananas
In
in
pajamas.
pajamas.
Oh,
Indeed.
actually. Let's
Do you
see if
have something? Show them. Wait.
It's almost like I prepared for this moment. No, when we had Ari.
Have I told you this story?
Play school, who I no, you haven't. Play school, who I present for, is the children's program, which Bananas in Pajamas
I
kind of
watch
coincide with.
constantly.
I have. So
Oh, bless. So the
it's
bananas are
B1,
B1 and B2. Banana 1,
and this is
banana
a
2.
little Ari pajamas. But I mean, he's too small for them yet. But he is going to be in a
That's
Bananas in Pajamas.
so adorable. So there's 2 bananas and there's 3 teddy bears in the story. And one of the teddy bears is called Lulu and she's a ballerina and she performs. And apparently when I was 4, I was watching it and Lulu did this dance or whatever, I don't know. And I turned around to my mother and I said, when am I going to do singing and dancing lessons? And my mum, in a panic, oh no, God, she's going to be one of those kids, said, when you go to primary school, you can do that. Thinking that I would probably forget and never bring it up again. My first day of primary school, loved it. Mum picked us up, came running up to her and she said, how was your day? And I said, when is my singing lesson? So I definitely remembered. She didn't get out of that one very easily. So I just started singing, dancing, acting when I was 6.
And when you say sister, to be clear to everyone at home, Madge is a twin. So if there wasn't enough Madge, there's a whole other one made.
But we're
at the
not
same time.
identical.
Non-identical,
And
same as David and Leo.
indeed. In fact, we look as dissimilar as David and Leo.
What are you saying? Both Leo and David were very good looking, and everyone said that they were both
Yeah,
the good looking one.
Hello,
both the
we're both
good-looking
good
one.
looking. Yeah. We're both very attractive. But in different ways. I realized I was trying to talk up my sister, but then realized I was talking up myself at the same time.
So you're being a twin, and obviously being fraternal. So you were 2 eggs as opposed to 1 egg that split, which would create an identical twin generally,
Indeed.
or always, I guess. Does she? Was she singing? Was she have any desire to do that, or was she like, oh, shut up? You're always singing.
Shut up. I've got 2 things to say to that. First one is that she's she's creative. She learned piano. She's an incredible pianist and can pick up lots of instruments and just kind of fumble around with
Did you
them. which
perform together all the time then?
We used to, yeah. We were in a band together.
What was the band name?
The band was called Girl in a Drum.
Can girl in the drum
Girl in a Drum.
in a drum be found anywhere?
Yes. I don't know, maybe.
Oh.
I could try and find. We entered
Everyone
this,
go out there
this
and
regional
then
competition called Cool Schools, spelled with K, cool and schools with a K. And we wrote songs with our band. My sister played piano, but we had this photo shoot one time. We wore black T-shirts
you
with
were a goth.
with a no wait, it gets worse. With a loose tie around it, like
Of
a business
course.
tie. So black T-shirt, loose business tie. We performed at all the local gigs.
Was that very Avril Lavigne? Did she wear those
Yes, it
sequins
was.
on?
Yes, yes. Probably our inspiration, I would
And
say.
you were the singer, I'm guessing.
I was one of the singers. There were two of us.
Oh.
And my sister wrote a song for the group called Chess Battle. And it
Yeah.
was kind of like a rock ballad about playing chess.
It was a hit.
It was a hit. Anytime we were performing, people in the crowd, play Chess Battle, let's hear Chess Battle. We were always encouraged to try lots of things. So I went to dance class and my mother would encourage my sister to do dancing as well. I learned piano for a little bit, but I think we kind of early on established our own hobbies and our own interests. And
Was she good at sport?
yes. Oh my God. She went to the final rounds for swimming. She was a great swimmer
Wow.
back in the day. Yeah, incredible. So yeah, we just I think we really tried to differentiate ourselves from each other. And then the second thing I was going to say is, yes, she probably thought I was super annoying. My mum sent me a video of me when I was, I don't know, 9, 10. And my sister's recording the video. And it starts with my back to the camera. And you can just hear her at the top of the video being like, yep, it's going, you can go. Just the annoyance in her voice. And I just know that I was like, film me doing this incredible video. Like, it's going to be so good, so funny. I'll do like this turn in this jazz thing to the camera. And my sister was probably in the corner reading a book being like, oh, do I have to? That's our dynamic.
Two questions, or two-pronged question. How did the reality of what steps you needed to take come to light for you? And two, what can you pin down what was driving you? Like what the why, what was so desperate within you to do performance? Was part of it linked to that you knew that performance wasn't in the country town, that you'd have to go elsewhere, and you wanted to be elsewhere in that sense? You wanted to be in the big city and blah, blah, blah?
For the journey, I thought that I had to go to drama school, and that's how it would all happen for me. And that was the only way. I didn't know anything about agents or auditioning, really. I'd never been exposed to it.
Drama school
all.
being like university NIDA WAPA kind of thing, or
Yeah,
drama school
NIDA
being like high
WAPA
school?
VC
Yeah, okay.
No, NIDA WAPA VCA when I finished high school. So I was always involved in choirs and the school production.
Who was even
and
telling
every-
you about that though? Like with the drama teachers?
My
Like,
drama teacher at school, yeah. And I
Yeah,
had a
okay.
drama teacher outside of school. I did the Stedfords. That's how I found out about VCA and WAPA and NIDA. And so at the end of high school, I auditioned a few times in a row before I actually got in, but I was dead set on going to drama school, and I thought that then I would get an agent, and then that's how the progression would happen. And luckily for me, that is how it happened eventually. And then I think what was driving me was just a desire to express myself. I felt really, like I said, I felt really other. I felt like I had all of these big emotions and feelings, and I was in a place where it wasn't super normal to express that or even hold space for that, which sounds really weird and lame, but I loved telling stories. I loved kind of exploring people's emotional journey with different circumstances in their life. And yeah, I knew I felt like I wanted to do that, and I felt like there was nothing else I was gonna do that would be as important as that.
We had Sally Ann Upton on last week, which if you haven't
Yeah.
watched it, go watch it.
I haven't watched that one yet, but I'm very excited for that one.
um, and she tells how a moment when she was on the boat from England to Australia as a 6/7-year-old, and
Mm,
she was standing on a stool in the spotlight singing uh, a song, and
mm.
she was like, "Oh, I love this. This is the best. I wanna do this for the rest of my life. I want to feel this feeling." You told the story of your mum kind of seeing the obvious trait there. Was there a moment for you where, or a series of moments or a show or whatever, where for you it clicked that I have to do this for the rest of my life?
I don't know if there was a specific moment for that to think that I have to do this for the rest of my life. I think I just knew it innately at 4 when I asked mum when I was gonna do my lessons. I've always thought, I'm gonna do this. I'm good at it. I love it." Um, but I was in a production of Les Miserables in Wagga Wagga, which was the neighboring kind of bigger town next to my small country town, and I played young Cosette, and young Cosette has a solo. She sings Castle on a Cloud, Castle on a Cloud. And doing that show on stage kind of really highlighted to me that I was like, "Oh god, I love this." And I loved being around the people and creative and dressing up, and yeah, it was really magical.
That's fun. So,
Yeah.
did you move as soon as you finished high school?
Mhm. I did. I didn't get into the main course, but I got into this little course at VCA, which was free at the time. It was free. It's
Which is
12
in VCA being the
being
Victorian College of
College
Arts.
of the Arts, which is
Yes, you
attached
moved
to
to Melbourne.
Melbourne Uni. Yes, so I moved to Melbourne. And I did that, and then I did a few little other one-year courses. I kept on auditioning for the bachelor course, and I didn't get into it, which was devastating. And then the year that I decided I wasn't gonna audition anymore, I said, "This is my last year auditioning." I got in.
Was it ever a was there ever a conversation with your parents to convince them that you were doing this, or was it just because you were dedicated to it from a 4-year-old? They're
So
like, well,
long.
it's just
They were like, "We've
we've had to
invested so much money
we've
into
had a
these
long time
lessons,
to
like,
accept this.
you better go to drama school." No. There was hesitation, as I think probably any parent experiences when their child wants to pursue something that's a bit left of center, especially, prior to influencer and all that other stuff. I feel like it's maybe a bit more mainstream now to pursue something out of the box. Uh, but they weren't, the kind of parents in the story where they're like, "You have to go and study medicine. But mom, this is my dream." There was none of that. Uh,
They were
but
like,
they
you're no good at anything else, so I guess we'll have to go with this.
truly, probably yes. But I think they were very glad that I went to university. I think that was probably their main thing. And if I was studying acting at university, then great, as long as I had a degree, which I often forget I do.
Had they always been small country town people themselves?
Yeah, my dad's grew up in like rural Victoria, and my mum, her dad was a banker, so she kind of moved all over New South Wales, and
Right.
they met in Grafton, which is like right up the top of New South Wales in country-ish, right?
Were they worried for you to be living in the city? Like, because certain assumptions can come into people's minds depending where they live, that there's there's crazy criminals around, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I knew they worried about me. They did their best to hide that. I think they knew that I was going to leave at some point. So they probably had a lot of time to prepare for that. I think they still worry, probably.
Well, of
It's
course
just
you do.
yeah,
But a
and it's
girl.
it's it's so different. But I've been in the city now for 13 years or something like that. So
Would you ever go back?
You know what?
No?
I often say to people, if I wasn't an actor or creative, I probably would. But the more I think about that, probably I wouldn't, just because I've experienced this now. I've experienced the city and everything that has to offer. I love the country as a place to return to for a time. So I like going back there for Christmas and everything. I like the open space. I like the slowness of it. But I crave the energy of the city. So I probably not.
I mean, you said the open space and the slowness is outside of family, obviously, and the people. Is there anything you miss about the country that you wish existed in the city or was brought into the city?
More sense of community and like I guess it's like, sorry, neighborly neighbors. But there is still that kind of more neighborhood camaraderie that you just don't find in the city. Like, yeah, there's communities like your gym community or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so
You know your
simple.
neighbors. Yeah.
You know your neighbors. You go, like, the doors are open. I wish that aspect of it was here.
So you finish up at drama school, and what happens?
So I did like lots of auditioning, and things just really weren't happening for me. I found it really difficult to audition and keep up my fire and my drive for this industry. That's when I did my studying to become a personal trainer and all that stuff. And then right before I sent in the tape for Neighbours, first round of tape. And I'm pretty sure it was for Nicolette because of the scene that I was given. But it was under a pseudonym, so I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
I sent off the tape. I felt really good about it. But as you know, you send off the tape and you try to never think about it again. A few weeks had passed. And I was having a moment. I was like, oh, God, this is dire. I'm so not overacting, but I was over feeling, not having a feeling of purpose. And I've always wanted to be a midwife. It's a dream of mine.
Oh.
And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go do this. I'm not giving up acting, but I'm just like going to focus on this for a while. Called up my agent, left her a message, I think. And she called me back that night and she's like, Majella, you have a call back for Neighbours.
Oh, Tack. I have been working like a dog this week. My skin is just so dry. It's outrageous. What's going on with you? You're in Melbourne. How come your skin's glowing?
Well, I've got a secret. It's magic. It's Egyptian magic. You can use it on your face, your body, even as a hair treatment.
And where did you get this stuff from, this magic potion?
From our pals and sponsors at beautyboat.com. They sent you some as well, and for a limited time, our Bin Night audience gets 25% off Egyptian magic and their entire order by using the code BIN25.
Egyptian magic, huh? Oh. Wait a second. Did you say I can use this anywhere?
Well, yeah, but don't get weird. You can use Egyptian magic as a face moisturizer, an eye cream, scar treatment, hair mask, baby cream, shaving balm, and anything else you might think of. It's got beeswax, honey, bee pollen, royal jelly, propolis.
I'm going to stock up. So what do we do? Beautyboat.com. I put everything, add all into cart. Yes, that's going straight into my basket. And the code is
BIN25. That's spelled BIN25. You get 25% off your whole order.
You guys can browse the website as there are so many incredible products, including the signature discovery boxes. Ooh la la.
Thank you, beautyboat.com.
Thank you, beautyboat.com.
Beautyboat is our official beauty partner here at Bin Night with Tack and Matty.
Hey, Tack, is there such a thing as only hands? What?
was like a month after I'd sent in the audition tape. And I was like, okay. She's like, yes, they want to see you for this other role. And they want to see you in person with the producer and this wonderful man who you're going to do a chemistry read with. His name's Tim Cano. Look him up. And I did, obviously. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, shit. Because he's a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man.
He's more beautiful in his like heart. But I didn't know that yet. So I was just going off looks.
He's beautiful in both ways, all right? He's just the best person ever.
Okay, he's fabulous.
I'm just Danny DeVito over here.
He's fucking great. We get it. So I went in for this chemistry read with Tim and the producer was there. And also Thea McLeod, who's our wonderful casting director. And also I was the only one there. But right as I'd finished, Thea came up to me and she said, oh, by the way, there's this other woman coming in. She's not going for your role, though, so don't worry. And thank God she said that because in walked Hannah Monson. And I just thought she was the coolest, prettiest, most magnetic person I'd ever seen in my whole life. And I was like, thank God she said that because I would have left being like, well, this bitch is getting the role. Like, it's not me.
That's actually amazing. So you were reading for Nicolette then?
No, that was
That
reading
initial-
for Krista.
No, but the initial audition.
I'm pretty sure because it was a scene. It was definitely like an old Nicolette scene.
Yeah. So it must have been, and then they had this other role, and then they were just using the one audition thing to go, oh, why don't we look at these people for this role kind of thing.
I assume. And I left and it was very cinematic. I was heading back to my hometown for my friend's wedding. I'd picked up my partner at the time from the airport and I got in the car. He's like, how was it? And I said, I think I'm booking this role. He's like, that's great. Okay, cool. And I was like, well, yeah, whatever. Let's not get our hopes up. Got my friend's wedding to focus on. Let's do that. Got home. Literally the next day, my agent calls me and I'm there with my dad and in my hometown. So it was really special.
So I have two questions. At what point in the audition did you feel that you were getting it?
From the beginning of it, like when I walked in and Tim and I talking and just the energy I got from the producers and from Thea, I just thought, oh, I think they're quite interested in me. And then Tim and I read really well together and I just thought, okay, this feels different to other ones that I've done.
If anything, that might be a clue to how to carry yourself into any audition for anyone out there.
True.
Oh, I'm getting this. And then, because like that, I feel like that could be, like you were talking about before, the attractiveness of it can be attractive. And they want to see that person walk into the room. So if you walk in going, oh, I'm getting this, then you're putting off that thing of like, oh, this is them, which is quite interesting. And when you got the call, and I'll tell you how I react when I get these calls, but how do you react? What do you do? So the agent's gone, so you got it. What do you do?
I'd never had a call like that before. So it was my first time. And because you kind of know, right? Like the phone's ringing with your agent's name.
It's an email. If you don't get it, it's an email.
If you don't get it, it's an email or nothing. So if you're getting a call, so you kind of know before you pick it up. My heart's racing. I've looked at my dad. I'm like, oh my God. Pick it up. She's like, hi, Majella. Say it. Say it, Ellen. And then I kind of laughed and then cried and I just knew it was massive. Like I to be a series regular on Neighbours, I knew it was huge. And I felt a lot of relief because I'd been doing auditions for years and I knew that I wouldn't have to do that for a little time. And and then fear overcame me. Days later, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I know nothing.
It's interesting that you say that all this self-doubt overcame you. Because I first met you it was a party on a boat.
Yeah,
it was on
the boat.
It was a Neighbours, well, it's a docked boat, so it's sort of like a restaurant bar thing. But it was what was the actual occasion for it? I think it was like an Amazon
It was
something.
an Amazon party or something. I
But
hadn't even
you hadn't
started yet.
started. I
And
hadn't
Andrew
come
sent me an
back
email
yet.
and he's like, you should come to this party.
Andrew, our
And I was
producer,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't know anybody, like only Tim. And I messaged him and I'm like, are you going to be at this thing? Because
Was he there? I don't think was he there?
He
I
was there
remember.
for a little bit
Right.
because he introduced me to a few people, I think. And I met you
right.
there.
Yeah, no, and I met you there, and I was like, oh, she's going to be fun, not in a weird sense, but because again, it's the sort of you're picking up on energies of things.
Yeah.
And there was a few people that I was meeting there for the first time. I think Hannah as well, and I'd like that's like me and Hannah then went to have lunch and stuff a few days later because I was like, I can give you the download on Nicolette and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then you got to set, and I remember saying to you in our scene, I mean, it must have been maybe a week or two in. And we were doing a scene outside Lassiter's Hotel in the kind of car park, but the scene wasn't at that car park. You were just sitting up against a car. And I think
They loved that scene, didn't they?
Yeah,
we loved that scene. And Harry directed that scene. And Harry was like,
that's right.
This scene is amazing. It was a good scene.
But I remember saying to you while we're filming it, it's like you've got a lot of confidence, and because I've seen a lot of other actors come in and to play roles or whatever, and not all of them, but a lot will have those initial nerves and just wanting to try to get things right or say remember the lines and that kind of stuff. And whilst I was doing most of the talking in the scene, granted, but none of that came through. And when I said, "Oh, she'll be fun," it was kind of instinctual to know that then when we were on set, it was just we got to perform together. And when the scene started, it was Krista and David connecting in the way they kind of needed to progress that relationship in the way that it went. And that I think the audience responded to that as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that, you were filled with, self-doubt and stuff. But then by the time you're on set, what had given you that confidence to get to set and be like, no, I know what I'm doing?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel a lot of nerves and anxiety under the surface. I think I'm very good at masking.
Well, everyone
that.
has to, right? It's like
Totally. Yeah. But I just think I had so many years to prepare for my first job, like literally from the age of 6 and then onwards, and my study
4?
and
Come on, that 4-year-old was like,
4,
I want to be the
indeed.
Teddy.
Yeah. And then I did so many classes like after uni. I just think I was ready, and I know that I'm good. Like I know that I'm a good actor. So the doubts are kind of not about that. The doubts are about, everything to do with being on set. Like, will I get on with these people? Will I remember my lines? Will I be able to portray this character in a really truthful way?
So it was part of it, maybe a fear of going back to being the outsider that was the outsider at school.
Probably, maybe, yeah. Yeah, and stepping onto Neighbours set is really daunting because everybody's been there for decades or years, and when you're coming in, you're trying to find your space within that ensemble. That's quite overwhelming. But yeah, I think I was just ready, prepared, and I wanted it so badly that I just thought, well, great, I'm here now. Now I can do the thing that I've been wanting to do.
Which kind of is an important key difference of so many people come in and then feel like they need to prove that they're ready.
Yeah.
As opposed to you've gone, no, I've already proved that to myself. Now I just get to do it.
Yeah.
And I say this to so many actors as well who hate auditioning. I don't like it, but at best you can, you've got to try to enjoy it because, for a couple of years or however long, you may only get to really audition as an actor, and that's your moment of acting. If you're not enjoying that, then what is the point?
Totally.
You've got to try to enjoy it because that's the chance you get, and if that's the only chance, then at
the
least
job
enjoy
is
it.
auditioning. Like the job is doing tape up to tape, and I think it's so funny you say that because I was watching an interview with John Krasinski. Is that his name? Emily Blunt's husband?
I
And
love
he
that
said,
he's Emily Blunt's husband. You know,
anyone who's associated with Emily Blunt is Emily Blunt's
something.
something.
It's
Indeed.
like The Rock. He's Emily Blunt's co-star.
Exactly. He, in an interview, said that someone once told him that you have to treat the audition as your chance to act. So if you get to go in there for 5 minutes and do what you love, just go in there and act. Like that's what you're doing most of the time, and we don't get a lot of opportunities, especially here in Australia, to do that. So
And perhaps that was the energy I was picking up on, was that I could see you enjoying it, even though
maybe.
you were having to play this drugged up Krista and whatever. But
Yeah, I was like shivering by the car. I want to use the drugs.
that's like, I think that's the energy of just that. Ah, yeah, we're doing
Yeah,
it.
right? Like, no, this is so good and so juicy and yeah.
Was there a turning point for you where the nerves sort of, like, outside of like the general anxiety anyone might carry, but where you were like, okay, cool, like now we're like really in the seat, so to speak, and I can.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about that early on, didn't we?
I
'Cause
know, but I've got to pretend like we have it.
No, I
Like, hey,
know.
Majella, that's
No,
how this
but
is working.
just
No,
for
I'm
some
kidding.
context. But because I was worried about the amount of upkeep that I was doing with the workload and the amount of work that I put into the
Oh, you were
scripts
still doing classes as well when you
and
started, right?
classes. And there was like a little short film that I'd like signed up to, and I was like, I don't want to. And I think I said to you, my biggest fear is that I'll become complacent. And you said that, the nature of Neighbours is at some point you're going to know Krista so well that it'll all be easier and you won't have to do the same work that you're putting in now. And I thought, yeah, but I still want to do like the work. Like, what do you mean? So I think, I don't know, it must have been like maybe a year into shooting that I could kind of feel that I didn't have to do as much kind of the backstory and all that kind of stuff, that I thought, oh, this is what Takai was talking about.
Well, because
Got
you've
it.
lived it, You've
Yeah,
lived the
lived it.
backstory.
Yeah.
You're
And
not
you're
in a
living it
90-minute
every
performance.
day. Yeah, it's not even like you've like tapped into the play and then like a year later you're playing the same role. Like living Krista every day, and I think Hannah spoke about it on her podcast with you about how like normally you're dealing with a character from A to B and it's like, okay, I'm just taking care of them in this chunk of their life and that's fine. And that feels really good because you have a full grasp of that.
Mm.
But for us, every week you're getting the scripts and like on Friday night I'd be like, what's going to happen to her? Like help, and kind of reading through frantically. It's unfolding in real time.
Did it live up to your expectations, the Neighbours set, or working professionally?
And then some. I dreamt that it would be really collaborative and fun and so many different like portals of people pulling in together to make this one thing. And that's exactly what it is. Like everyone from costume to writing to the people behind the camera and, just everybody involved. I love how collaborative it is. I knew all of that. And then I couldn't even imagine how like fun it would be and how demanding it would be. And I just felt like I'd been like thrown into this world and I just wanted to soak it all up.
So I do have a story I'd want to share with everyone at home, which gives you an insight, not only into our relationship, I guess, but also into the kind of person that Madge is. And look, the situation that I put you in might have been one that, well, no one can really say no, but they also can. And, but also shows like how quickly I trusted you. So we only really worked together for 11 weeks. I mean, that was it. That was the whole of David's return before his demise. And as maybe not everyone at home knows, but a lot would, David's death was shot over 2 weeks, as all the blocks in Neighbours was. And in the first week of that block, we were shooting all the location stuff. So we were outside and we shot his final sort of monologue to Aaron. And so I'd filmed his death scene. So he just died on the Thursday. And then on the Sunday, I got a message from my dad, a call from my dad saying that you need to come to Brisbane because mum's not good. And dad's not the best communicator, so actually I think it was a message. And so I had to call him and said, like, what's the actual scenario? Like, is it she's not good and that, it's likely in the next few weeks, or is it like she's not good and she's got a couple of hours left, or what it was? And he ended up just putting me onto the nurse. And the nurse was like, it's like you can't put a timeline on it, but it's going to be very soon. And we were actually walking Mia at the time. Actually, no, I think I was walking alone. I was just walking alone with Mia, my dog, and because I'm in this mindset of like, and we'd been working so hard for the last month for David's death, and then I'm like, it's because I was asked the question of Dad of like, I've got one more week left here, like, I've got to shoot tomorrow and that kind of stuff. What do I do? But then obviously the nurse saying that, I was like, okay, no, of course I've got to go. And you've got a certain amount of shock sort of going through your system. So I've texted Andrew and said, Andrew, our producer, saying, look, I've got to go to Brisbane because I think my mum's going to die. And he was like, yeah, sure, we'll figure it out. And because me being me, I then want to solve all the problems first. I'm like, look, I've only got one scene tomorrow. It's an easy one for me to be cut around or whatever, or to be shifted so that I don't have to be there because it wasn't really a big deal. And then I have Tuesday off, so I've at least got the next 2 days and I can be back here for Wednesday, and because that's when he was in the hospital and that kind of stuff. And I wanted to be there for that. I didn't want, all of you guys to be acting to an empty bed and they just they just shoot me later lying in the bed or whatever.
Which says a lot about the kind of person that you are in terms of trying to troubleshoot for everyone else's sake and your dedication to the character in that story.
Yeah, and I think also a defense mechanism for myself to not get swept up in emotions by then focusing on the logistics and that kind of thing. And I think I called Matty and told him, or even texted him, and I was like, but we need someone to take care of Mia. Like, who can I get? Because Matt was living out there and he's got multiple kids and
Children.
a whole bunch of animals himself, and our dog doesn't deal with other dogs well, and most of the people that we knew.
So you're like, who do I know who doesn't have any responsibility?
No, the question was who can I call and who I can trust that right now when I've just got to be able to dump a whole lot of information on them because Mia has all of these medicines and stuff that I can trust, and I won't have to worry when I step away, and also don't have a specific timeline for them either. And I called you and you were like, of course. And you were there with, I don't know, it was like maybe an hour later because a certain amount of time between where we were living or whatever. And also just to put some stuff together and have a bag and whatever. And you came and we were able to show you stuff with Mia, and Mia loves you. She misses you because she moved back to Sydney or to Sydney.
Mia too.
And she's very angry at you for not visiting. But it was, I don't know, it's a comment, I guess, for everyone to know a little bit about you, of how caring and how trustworthy, I guess, you are in person, because that meant a huge amount to me. Like, we were already really close by that stage, because I had on the Neighbours set, most of the relationships I'd built, I had to work on them. Like, Matty and I didn't get along, but we really worked at, not in a conscious sense, but worked on, and then on our relationship in the sense that now we're best friends and whatever. But for you and I had said it to you at the time, it was like, you're probably the first person that had turned up on set or had been on set, regardless which way, looking at it, where it just clicked. And we were like, oh no, we really get along. Like, it was so easy. And I think a lot of people find that with you anyway, just because of the nature of the person you are. But I wanted to share that story because it meant so much to me then, and it does now, for you to to be able to turn up in what you probably consider a small way, but for me it was quite a big deal for us.
Mm.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. I mean, yeah, that was a no-brainer. I saw how much work you had, like, and people maybe don't know, but when you have this big story arc at Neighbours, that all of a sudden your workload gets ramped up and it's all about you and you're in more scenes and you're there 6 till 6 every day, and it was a lot, and then that was happening under the surface, and yeah, I was honored that you asked me because I knew that was a big deal. That's the big thing to ask, like, somebody, and yeah, I was just happy to help.
Um, yeah. Where do we go from there, Takar? I don't know.
Oh, and I love Mia, so
Really,
and I
you
must
just
have
wanted
done
to
a good
hang out
job
with
because then
Mia?
he every time he's like, "Do you want to come and look after Mia?" I'm like, "The
No.
princess,
It was Mia
yes."
kept asking me, like, will you get
Get
Majella
Match
again?
back.
We had
She
so much
takes me on
fun.
lots of walks, and it's so fun.
The first role I ever got was in a show called A Girl's World, which was called Chat Room Chicks at the time, and both of those
Is this
things
the
sound like
one in Singapore?
yeah, it was
Girls'
partially
World?
shot in Singapore, Singapore, Hamburg, and Sydney, but I only shot in Sydney and Singapore. But when I was filming that, my girlfriend broke up with me. My girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and the next day I had probably my biggest day on my whole 9-week shoot. And I had to do the main love scene for my character, but it was like a tween drama, so it was just a little kiss and whatever.
Still.
I won't tell the story of the fact that I was 21. The girl I was playing opposite was 13 at the time, but we were playing 14, 15, but that was a whole other weird thing.
Wow.
But but anyway, I had all these big things, and obviously I'd barely slept the whole night, and I had been crushed because the love of my life had broken up with me and blah, blah, blah.
Totally.
But then having to play, oh, I'm in love. I'm getting out of a pool, and I'd been working out every day and hardly eating to look good for this thing, and blah, blah, blah.
And like a
And,
bit of heartbreak to stop you from like eating.
I know. Although, no, I eat basically for any emotional state. I'm happy. Yes, I get to eat. I'm sad. I'm going to
Sure.
eat. I'm angry. Give me some food. But I remember thinking at the time, going like, oh, this is the difference between like a good and a great actor. Like a good actor can convince you on the day that the thing's doing it. The thing. A great actor can shoot over a film over a year or 9 months or whatever it is. And throughout that time, they can have major things happen within their lives, but that doesn't impact the arc of the character that's on screen. And you wouldn't know that, when they were filming that major scene that the night before, he'd been broken up with.
Because you're so talented.
But how did you, you don't have to share what things happened, but how did you contend with having to deal with, because Neighbours runs for such a long time, and it is every day, as you said, you have to contend with your real life and those things happening while still playing a character, doing whatever they're doing without the two infiltrating each other, or maybe you use one as an NG, I don't know. But how did you contend with real life impacting on Krista?
Yeah. I think what you said, like they both kind of impacted each other at different points that ended up being on the show for 2.5 years. So obviously lots of things happen in life, and some big shifts happened for me during that time as well. I think work and Krista was always a really fun and exciting outlet. So when I was on set as Krista, anything that was going on in my life just kind of melted away, and that didn't matter. It was kind of the in-between bits, I guess, that was harder to navigate. I'm not somebody who uses method acting or anything like that, so I never allowed my own emotions to kind of infiltrate or influence what was happening with Krista. And sometimes, like, art imitates life, and stories can kind of get a bit like too close to home, but it's always Krista's stuff when I'm working. How did I navigate it? I just had really great support. Like the cliche, like Neighbours is a family, and I don't think there were a few things in my life that I probably couldn't have gotten through without the people that I befriended on Neighbours during that time. So I'm just really grateful to have that support.
Krista had some major storylines too, some really,
Yeah.
and not just major, they were like importantly major, like they were really sensitive and really raw, let's say. And I think part of that is attributed to your performance level as well, because the writers can see, oh, we can do lots with her because when we write it, she can do it. And not everyone necessarily can or can do that sort of acting, let's say. They might be better at doing, comedy bits or whatever it is. And so the writers will generally tend towards what they think the actor's strengths are, just naturally, because they'll see their words come to life in the way they want to see them. So the major ones probably being outside of David's death.
That was the biggest one, obviously. The most
biggest
important.
one.
The most influential.
But the next probably biggest
The
one.
next one.
Well, just the loss of a baby, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that for you, having to perform that? And do you do a lot of research and that kind of thing? How do you? Because I know you don't do method. You put yourself in the character's position. It's a pretty unique position to put yourself in. I'm not asking you to reveal anything specific about that, and that's not what I'm leading towards. But how did you approach it?
Yeah. Well, I knew that the topic was very sensitive and therefore really important to tell as authentically as I could. And beyond that, Emma, one of our lovely writers who wrote the story, it was her story. So I felt even more responsibility to do justice for Krista and for her. So I spent a lot of time researching. I listened to lots of podcasts from women who had experienced stillbirth or miscarriage, or any kind of pregnancy loss. And I spoke to Emma a lot about her story and about how she saw Krista in this moment. That's kind of like a lot of the emotional side and people's reaction and response to something traumatic like the loss of a child. And then physically, I watch a lot of birthing videos like I always have. Like I said, I want to be a midwife. I'm very interested in
course.
that. So I kind of had a lot of data to pull from that point of view.
That side of
And
things.
we had this wonderful midwife on set as well. So I asked her a lot of
that's
questions
good.
about what that would be like in a delivery for a baby who is not quite fully developed. Yeah, and that was really tricky. Like we spoke about what the birth of that would feel like and how big the baby would be, and lots of really difficult, confronting things. And then on set on the day we just had back-to-back scenes for that sequence. So from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. we just shot all those scenes in the hospital in chronological order, which doesn't always happen on Neighbours, but was really helpful for that story. You could just kind of play it as it came through.
It's helpful, but it's hard because
It's helpful and hard, yeah.
you're really actually having to live something awful.
Yes.
for
Yeah,
a
in
whole
real
day.
time. Luckily, our lovely director, Chris, who I hadn't worked with yet, but he's one of our rotational directors who comes on a lot. I hadn't worked with him yet, and we had spoken briefly, and he said, look, I'm a man, but just it's not something that I know a lot about. He's like, I trust you. Let me know what you need. And he allowed me to kind of explore, with the direction that he'd given. And I didn't have to do it a lot, which I was very grateful about. So just kind of locked in with everybody in those first few takes. If it was a close-up shot, I think a lot of it was the first take that we did, and we just did the one. And Chris was like, "Yeah, we've got it. Like, we don't need to continue to explore other stuff because that's a lot for you."
Yeah, and some directors
Yeah.
will exploit that and then want to get all this extra coverage, which is unnecessary, a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So I was really lucky in that regard as well.
Do you have any issues with taking it home, or are you able to leave it on set?
A bit of both. I think I take a bit of it home with me. I do practices to try and, leave it at work, but something as big as that kind of sits with you and the body remembers things. Something like
The adrenaline's real. The chemicals that you've
the
forced around your
adrenaline's
body are
real.
all real. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember after we shot David's death, all that stuff out at the
The
hill.
bush
What do you
and
call it? The bush, whatever.
the
The
dam,
outback.
technically. The quarry. The
The
quarry.
quarry, indeed. I all day been kind of keeping a lid on it because all those scenes, Krista's like just in shock and she's trying to hold it together for Leo and stuff. She realizes that she's kind of the odd one out here. And I remember I got in my car at the end of that day of shooting and I just cried because it was all there and hanging around. But
Your body didn't have any release,
yeah, I didn't have any release.
You hit
Yeah.
cut, but your body doesn't hit cut.
Yeah, and you're like, okay. So yeah, after I had like a couple of good cries as me, and it's sad. Like it's not. It was a sad story, and I really felt for Krista, and I felt for anyone who's ever experienced something like that. So I'm a sensitive person too, so it's not. I cry a lot.
Well, I mean, there was so much commentary from the fans that I saw, complimenting the authenticity of it and your performance. So, well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I think it'd be interesting for them to hear how how it comes about from your sides of things. So, hopefully that helps for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you, if you got a call from them and they said Robinson Towers is a go, would
I know
Krista be
you asked
returning?
April this. Would I do it?
Well, yeah. Would you do it?
I would probably come on as like a guest, I think. I feel like I've explored enough of Krista long term for my own satisfaction. So I would probably be doing it for the fans.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would come back without Tim.
Yeah.
So
Without Leo.
he'd have to be convinced too.
How did you feel the day when it hits Twitter or whatever that
This is a great story.
Amazon that Amazon had dropped it, and yeah.
This is a good story.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate to go on the 40th anniversary tour in the UK with Tim and Beck and Lucinda. And, we'd had this wonderful time and just experienced all the love and adoration firsthand from the fans in person. And spoken about the show and spoken about our characters. And it was just this incredible experience. And we were coming home from that spent, 100,000 hours on the plane from London to Melbourne. So I got off the plane. We'd all gotten home I think we landed at 1 a.m. and I'd gotten home at 3 and I couldn't sleep because, jet lag. So I unpacked my whole bag. It was 5 a.m. and I went to bed. I woke up to Lucinda Armstrong Hall calling me at 7 a.m. So I'd been asleep for 3 hours. And she was like, Madge, the show has been cancelled. And I'm like, they're like, what?
Huh?
What do you mean? I was just in London. They love it. Like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, no, it got leaked and we've got a meeting today. It's been cancelled. And I was, I don't know. I thought I was in a dream. I was like, what is happening?
Mm.
It was just a total contrast of how we'd all felt over in the UK. Yeah, really sad. Really devastating for us, for the fans, and for the Australian industry. Like, it just, there's a big hole there now, and that really, really sucks. Yeah, I felt a range of emotions. Like, I think my contract was almost at its end anyway, and I was already kind of thinking about, will they want me to stay on? Will I want to stay on? I almost felt ready to pursue other things, so that was in my mind. So when I heard that it was finishing, I think for me there was a little relief. It kind of removed the choice in a positive way, because that would have been a hard decision to make, to leave security, leave my friends and my newfound family, and leave uh, leave doing what I love, acting, in pursuit for other creative, like, endeavors. So yeah, is that weird to say that I felt relief? Yeah.
It's I think the audience would be shocked when they hear that us actors have this permanent role. Even other actors would be shocked to hear you've got this permanent role, and then you think about leaving. But it is this strange thing of like,
Mm.
we have this drive to tell stories, and
Mm.
you become an actor not for the security. I mean, if you did, you were going to be very
Good luck.
sad to hear that that's not the
Sorry.
thing. But it seems like it's a crazy thing for us to be like, oh no, we want to leave this thing and go
Mm.
tell some other story. What, when you're contemplating that, what's the real drive? Is it to be on, because I have this dream of being on a Hollywood film, or I want to be in an action thing, or I want to, be in this or that? Like, what's the drive for you beyond just getting to act that makes you think I can leave this security and just doing the thing that I love every day?
Yeah, I have a real desire to tell important stories. Like, I the thing that makes me want to be an actor, I want people to feel seen and understood. And that probably comes from my upbringing, where I felt so, you know, I felt like I had too much emotion. It was not right for me to feel all these things. I want people to feel like they belong, and they're reflected somehow on the screen. And there's nothing better than when you see a character and you think, oh my God, that's just like me. That's how I react, or that's how I feel about things. I'm not crazy. I'm not abnormal. So I think that,
Well, you want to be told that, as opposed to perhaps what you had
yeah,
been told when you were growing up, that, or
yeah. And I want
whether
to see
directly or
it.
indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it. And so I think that's what drives me to want to tell other stories, like to explore other characters and other people's makeups of why they do things. Like, I had that with Krista, and sure, there's other ways you could explore it through different storylines or whatever, but it's her innately. And so what other characters are there for me to play with?
What did she teach you?
She taught me to be more confident. She's very self-assured. She taught me to be to stand up for myself as well, I think, a lot of times. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you had some great scenes with Steph and
I
Dennis,
I did.
and such a strange
Relationship?
relationship from starting out, and then he was really the reason David dies, in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
I was actually trying to get rid of you, or rid of Krista,
Mhm.
and then you guys become best buddies. Gee, thanks. Clearly, I meant a lot to
Sorry.
both of you.
you brought us together. Your death brought us together. He was Stiffy and Paul. That was my favorite relationship to work with, and because he's so fantastic and such a generous actor, and I learned so much from him. But also just that the complexities of that relationship and the dynamic there were just so like you could just like kind of keep digging, and there's more and more and more. Like when Krista asks Paul to walk her down the aisle, that scene actually wasn't in the original script. It was kind of alluded to where Krista says to Leo, "Yeah, I'm going to ask your dad a question," and then he ends up walking me down the aisle. And I was speaking to
Also, there's
Harry.
no actual scene where you got to ask.
There was no. And so I was speaking to Harry, who directed the block, and I said, "This isn't right. Like, we need the scene where she asks him because it's so important. Like, it's such a big thing to ask him, and it just really totally encompasses their relationship." So I'm really glad that they wrote that, and I got to.
And also,
ask
like,
him.
this is me just thinking about it now. Such a beautiful arc from. It's sort of like almost like an atonement for what he did to David, in the sense that David's goal through that and what Paul was against was taking care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And to now then he's essentially the one Paul is the one taking care of Krista. There is a nice kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Start and
And
finish to that.
she says in the scene, "I imagine my father would do it," which is complicated because Krista didn't have a great relationship with her father, but I think she meant that. She really did imagine that he would do it because that's what, in her eyes, a father would do on her wedding day. And I think she thinks of Paul as a father figure. Like he really kind of took that role for her. And then it's all in the symbolism of father-in-law, so he actually is.
Even though he tried to kind of kill you once,
Even
but
though
killed his
he
own son
killed me and
instead.
covered up my own death and then blamed me for his son's death.
Even though it was him. Paul.
Tried to get me to stop dating his son. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff.
So what's next for Majella?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Well, I just moved cities, so that's pretty big. I moved to Sydney from Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Loving it so far. It was a struggle, but I'm loving it. Yeah, I don't know. I've started writing some stuff. I want to try and write my own work. So I got an idea in the pipeline, and I'm auditioning. And
is the idea a film, a TV show, a musical, a play, or what is it?
So maybe a musical.
Ooh.
Yeah. For all I studied musical theatre.
Or
I don't know yet. Could be a jukebox musical, depending on how hard that gets.
Yeah.
And I've also gotten the itch for theatre again. So I've been seeing lots of theatre, and yeah, I studied theatre. So who knows? I'm thoroughly enjoying listening to you and Matty interview our friends. And I'm, like, even as somebody who knows these people who you're interviewing, I'm learning lots about you too as well. So yeah, it's a really great podcast. You should be really proud.
Thank you.
I think it's really like fun listening to yours and Matty's dynamic on the pod. I feel like it more closely resembles David and Aaron than it does like you and Matty.
We're really trying,
which you're probably doing on purpose, maybe.
Well, to a degree. Like, we had these, not on purpose, but we just kind of adopted these personas we had when we did behind the scenes stuff, of this bickering couple. And we are kind of a bickering couple in the sense that we're just brutally honest with each other, and we trust each other's opinions about things. But there is this strange dynamic that happens on this where we're trying not to do that. But at the same time, some of the deeper stuff that we talk about as best friends, let's say, isn't appropriate for the podcast. And so it's trying to find that balance. And that isn't to say that we're not being real on this either. We are. But in the same way that, like, if we tomorrow had to perform a scene as David and Aaron, it would be very easy for us to just fall into the patterns of
Totally.
what that is because it's so in our bones. So because
Yeah.
we have that, even that behind the scenes kind of thing, which again isn't an on purpose thing, it's just in our bones that that's what we do. This podcast is kind of an exploration as well of us separating from that. So, which is why we want to include the audience as well on that journey, because over time we'll become more exposed by it. And I think as well, when we tour, because we do plan to, if this can
What?
get big enough, when it tours to the UK and stuff, people will get a much more
Yes.
raw insight as well. Because Peeping Tom does an amazing ability to to edit us to sound much smarter than we are.
Peeping Tom. Should I write it? Should I write an intro jingle for him?
Yes, an intro jingle for Peeping Tom. That would be fantastic.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you,
Perfect.
Majella. Normally we throw heaps of praise at the end, but I kind of feel like I've done that throughout. So
You have. I feel very bashful.
no, I meant every word of it, and I'm sure everyone out there
I know you do.
through this interview is aware of how lovely a person you are, and they all want to be as good a friend with you as I am, I think. So, suckers!
Isn't that what the podcast is for? Hopefully they feel a bit closer to
Yeah.
me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
More friendly.
Well, thank you, Majella. You're the best.
Thank you so much, love. You're the best.
Oh, you couldn't catch it.
Couldn't catch it.
Chickens eat spiders, don't they?
Yeah. We actually have this. We have this spider inside the house, which is I think it's called a St. James Cross spider. Is it St. James Cross? Is that it?
No, it's not St. James.
Let's look it up.
St. Andrew's Cross.
St. Andrew's Cross. St. Andrew's Cross.
There could be two, I guess. Could be different
Spider.
ones.
Oh, spider bite. Low risk, generally non-toxic, considered harmless to humans. But anyway, they have this beautiful pattern across their back that kind of looks like a decorated Easter egg, and they form this big X in their web with their legs. And there's one right out the front of our window, and it's at the kids' eye level height, and the house is full of flies. And so the boys will just every single morning they'll catch 5 flies for this spider, which is a pet spider. And
Like, do they catch them alive, or like they
catch them alive? Catch them alive. She doesn't like ones that have been dead for a while. Yeah, they're good. So the house is full of them. So they catch all these flies, and then they throw them at the web. This is so wild. They throw them at the web, and then they watch her come down, and then she spins a web around the flies immediately, and it doesn't come out. She doesn't do it in single strands. It comes out in like this fan pattern, and it just wraps them up like it's like they're in a sheet, and it wraps them up, and then she comes in. Oh, so fast. Incredible. Spins them around like anything. And then she comes in with her fangs, and you see them stick the fangs in, and then she'll go to a different location and stick them in there as well. A little bit of a Botox there, a bit of Botox there, a little bit under there, and then they slowly stop moving, and then she'll go back and eat it. And if she's had a good couple of days, she's massive. And then she'll lose a bit of weight over the next few days. But I think we're going to have these things popping up everywhere. If you're looking to buy this house in the future, don't listen to this episode.
Majella Davis, what a brilliant chat that was. I hope people learnt a whole bunch from her. It was actually really tough for me asking her questions because obviously I know her really well and I know the answers to most of the questions I'm going to ask her. But there's some things that are too personal for even just outside of really close friends, right? And so I know more than what I'm asking, but I have to ask it in a way. And I said this to her, it's really hard to ask you a question without you feeling like you need to then say publicly what I know personally from you. Because you know I know that, you might assume that I'm wanting to get that whole story out. So I had to really try to think about how do I phrase this question in a way where I don't want you to reveal the thing which is like a really personal thing, but there's another story on top of that which I think is really interesting. So it was actually a struggle for me trying to ask questions on certain topics that I hope wouldn't make her feel pressured into talking about something she might not. But she said to me that she was happy with everything she said, and I still think she shared plenty, and I hope you really enjoyed it. And I'm sad Matty missed out on it, but we'll. That's just what we have to do. In a weekly podcast, when things come up, we'll have to. Sometimes it'll be one of us. Sometimes it'll be both of us. Hopefully, when it's one of us, it's just me. I reckon, because if you're stuck with that guy, I just don't know what will happen.
Look,
you could.
I haven't got many great ideas. I can't even listen to my own voicemail, let alone Look, one day it will happen. One day. Well, it's bound to happen. So good luck to everyone when that day comes.
We need a quick update, Matty. Chicken watch.
What do you mean?
Chickens
they're
all alive?
fine. No, we
All
still
fine?
need to give
Good?
them a haircut. That's about it. I think they are.
Does Barry
Yeah.
still not want to marry Penny anymore because he won't get to buy Legos?
No, they're having some sort of argument now.
Oh no.
He said something nasty to her. He said, "I like your brother more than I like you." And she was really offended. She was really offended.
Because he plays with Legos, probably.
A week later, and no, I don't know why. They both just went off each other. And then a week later, he said, "She's being mean to me." I said, "Yeah, of course. You said some nasty stuff, didn't you?" And she's like, "Yeah, you did." And he's like, "No, but I still love you." She's like, "Well, you haven't said sorry to me yet, have you?" And I was like, "Mate, you're going to have to figure this out. Maybe not today."
Hey, look, if he's figuring it out now, if he can sort this out now, he's going to be set, He's going to.
I know. He's going through the trials and tribulations way earlier than expected. Way earlier than I ever had to go through that stuff. I don't think I did that stuff till I was in my early 20s. But
well, no, sometimes you might have forgot. You might have blocked
it
out because it was so awful. You were like, nah, and then your brain's like, yeah, we'll just forget that because that was not fun. I just remembered something else from me and Madge. We were talking about bananas in pajamas because now I'm remembering 2 weeks ago when we had the conversation. She was talking about how she wanted to be like one of the is it mice in the background who sings a lot. I think that was right.
So there's 2 bananas and there's 3 teddy bears in the story. And one of the teddy bears is called Lulu, and she's a ballerina and she performs. And apparently when I was 4, I was watching it and Lulu did this dance or whatever, I don't know. And I turned around to my mother and I said, "When am I going to do singing and dancing lessons?"
Literally the afternoon that I had this conversation with Madge, the ABC posted, and I didn't know about this, that they were going to make a new season of Bananas in Pajamas. So we willed it into life. All right, Matty, do you have a joke for us?
Well,
he forgot. He forgot he has to have a joke. Now he's panicking.
Currently Googling it. Yeah. Look, it's not really a joke, but it's a pickup line that you could. It's a pickup line.
You could tell Barry you can use it for his next girlfriend.
Is your name Trash? Because I'd really love to take you out one night. Maybe on bin night. Maybe on bin night.
Can someone try that, please? And
Is that
and
a
report
sticker
back
for the bin?
Is your name Trash? Because I'd like to take you out. Anyway, see you next bin night.
Ciao.